In this episode of the Spiral Up podcast, we are going to be diving into all things Pinterest, why you should be using Pinterest to grow your business, to manage leads for this longevity exposure to life. You're going to get to hear from one of my Spiral Up experts, Dana Johnson, on all of the ways that you should be leveraging this underutilized platform to grow your business. Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Wieme, a peak performance coach and business strategist dedicated to helping you see what's possible within you, the blind spots that are holding you back, and the solutions to ensure success and fulfillment without the hustle. I use my secret sauce of metaphysics, brain science, and scripture to work with God to manifest your ideal life and business. If you're ready to create massive forward momentum in your business and bust through the blocks that drag you down, join me on the Spiral Up journey and create the clarity, confidence, and consistency to become the CEO that lives your life by design. It's time to create the sustainable impact, income, and time freedom you desire faster. Now is the time to spiral up. Welcome back to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Wieme. Today, you guys are going to get a chance to hear from one of my Spiral Up experts, Dana Johnson. You guys, she is a phenom when it comes to really leveraging Pinterest. We had a chance to meet a while back because I was on her podcast. It was so fun to get to know her. And as we have been getting to know each other, I'm like, oh my gosh, you have a skill set that I need to bring into my Spiral Up community. Because as you guys have probably heard me say, that I love to leverage other people's expertise inside of my programs so that I don't either have to be the expert in everything or just am not simply that knowledgeable about certain things. And so I handpick people to come in and support my clients in ways that are going to elevate them, to get rid of the butts that are holding them back in business and in life. And one of those butts might be, I know that I want to use other platforms to bring in lead generation. And maybe Pinterest is what I should be doing, but I have no idea where to start. Dana is able to come in and she's been able to teach my clients how to leverage Pinterest. It's been great. We have a masterclass that everybody has access to. In addition, my high-level students get a chance to meet with her. And then, of course, we brought you in recently on one of our group coaching calls, which is amazing because we got to ask all kinds of cool questions. And I want to hear from you, girl. Like, I know I mentioned that obviously you're here to talk about Pinterest, but tell us a little bit more about like your passion for helping people. What lights you up? Tell us a little bit about your business.
So my passion is really just to help people not struggle the way that I did, I guess. My startup journey was really scrappy. It was a lot of stress and overwhelm. It was not even meant to be a business. It was meant to stay a side hustle because at the time, it was 2020 and the pandemic and everything was up in smoke. And I was a single mom of three, just trying to like fill in my budget gaps, to be completely honest, which meant I didn't have the traditional means of going to networking events, which no one did in 2020 because they went virtual. But didn't have the means to do that. There were no evening after hour business things, even when things opened back up. Like I couldn't do it. I had to find ways to get creative and non-traditional with growing my business or side hustle at the time to find clients. And obviously social media was one of the top things that I did. And I did lean into that, but it was exhausting and I felt tied to my phone. And honestly, I couldn't keep telling my kids, hey, you need to take a screen break while I'm still glued to mine trying to get clients and to do certain things. And so I was looking for different ways. And I landed on Pinterest as a means of just Hulk size level amplifying my reach with content I already created, basically. And in turn, it did help my clients because I work with the wedding industry. And in 2020, for the next several years, wedding shows that are like the bulk of the lead generation for them did not go virtual. They just stopped. So overnight, you lost 100, 500, thousands of leads, depending on the wedding shows that you attended or how many wedding shows you attended. And that's how a bulk of your business like that's how where your leads came from. So you lost all of that. Social media does not bring in as many leads as some people think. So we needed to figure out how they could also grow, and Pinterest has been the answer for that.
Yeah, yeah. I love how you were able to figure out a ways to work smarter, not harder. And that's really what everything that I do inside of Spiral Up is because people want to make a major impact, want health of their business and create abundance, but not at the expense of every single moment of their lives having to be tied to their business. Like oftentimes we joke that we trade our 9 to 5 in for 24/7. And a lot of my clients come in because they're burnt out and they've been scrappy and they've been figuring it out. And so part of the reason that they're there is that they want this beautiful one size container that they can pick and choose all the things that they need. So you've been able to take all of that scrappiness and that expertise that you've had to build over years and basically put it into what you do for your clients, which is so freaking cool because that's, what I teach, right? And I think that, Pinterest sometimes I think is something that gets clumped in with social media, but it's not social media. And a lot of times people don't realize that when it comes to social media and growing a business on social media, it requires you to be social. You can't just post it and forget it. You have to engage with the people who are engaging in your content, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's like I always tell people it's like fishing, right? Like you can't just put your line in the water and then expect the fish to just jump in your boat. Like you have to reel it in and take it off the hook. And so social media can be exhausting and time consuming when you're having all those interactions and trying to keep up with everything as you were saying. And Pinterest is not social media. Pinterest is such a unique platform in the sense that, and you've taught me this, that it's the longevity is there. It doesn't require that constant social interaction, and social media wants to keep people on their platform, whereas Pinterest actually is designed to take people where you want them to be taken. Well, so why don't you tell us a little bit about why you love to leverage Pinterest? Like, what are the advantages to it as it compares to other things that are out there?
So that is a big distinction, is it's a search engine or it's a discoverability platform. So the content that you create today, or even the content that you created last year, can still work for you 6 months from now. There's no pressure to be on all the time. I've even taken steps back. I'll post the stories because it's more of my behind the scenes life of how I'm balancing everything. But reels, carousels, and anything else, I only post 2 times a week. And then I focus on the whole point of being social and DMing people, liking and commenting. But now the pressure to be on all the time is gone. I actually get to care about what these people are commenting to me instead of sounding like a robot, responding to everyone as fast as I can. So there's no algorithm punishing you for taking a break. Pinterest is more like planting seeds that will grow over time, while other platforms are meant for you to post 5 or more times a day. Last week, I just talked about it on a TikTok. Someone was talking about how she posted 20 videos in a day, and she was like, "This is what happened. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to post 20 tomorrow." And I was like, I don't even want to post once a day, let alone 20. I don't want to come up with 20 ideas to post about. I was floored. Couldn't do it. And I hope that, like, that's just shouting into the void and hoping that someone hears you, or spaghetti sticks to the wall and they want to do business with you in some way, shape, or form. And that is no way to operate in the long term if you want to grow and be sustainable.
Right. Sustainability.
So
Mhm.
before we talked about, this is why I like it. Before we started recording, I had mentioned that Tailwind sent out their quarter 3 report or whatever. And I'm going to read it from my newsletter. It's what blew the mind is they analyzed over 1 million pins, and
Oh,
over 60% of saves were from pins over a year old. So that's why I love it, and why I am shouting from the virtual rooftops that your content should be on Pinterest, because it's evergreen, it's sustainable, and you can pin 1 to 2 times per day and still see traction next year. That
Yes.
already sounds amazing.
Amazing. I mean, like you said, that social media is designed to be irrelevant like tomorrow, right? Which is why
Yeah.
we post so much because, and even, I haven't looked at the statistics lately, but historically, it's about 5 to 6% of your followers or your friends are ever going to see something that you posted, especially with the algorithms. That's probably outdated because the algorithms, I feel like, are showing me more of what they think I'm going to like versus who I'm actually following or who I'm friends with. So that the number of things that I'm actually seeing from my people I follow or my friends is even smaller, I'm guessing.
Hmm.
And so it's like you're posting all of this stuff knowing that there's a fraction of the people that are going to even see it, and then it's going to be obsolete tomorrow because it's just going to benefit the people who just posted, right? And so
Hmm.
exhausting to come social media content, planning, a year's worth of content in a weekend. And a lot of what I do is actually repurpose things that are going to be able to be reused in the longevity point, but you still have to be consciously repurposing that stuff. What I love
Hmm.
Pinterest though is that it naturally is designed to stay, and I don't
Hmm.
have to worry about being on top of things constantly several times a day just to have it be visible. As long as it's there, it might be showing up in the search. And so when it comes to that though, Dana, can you tell us like how important are keywords, or what can I do to maximize the chance that my pin is actually going to last that year and to be searchable, in that longevity period? Do you have any tips for us so that when we do it, we can kind of do it right?
I think the first mindset shift is you're not on there to pin what you're interested in.
Yes. Yes.
So you want to think about really nerd out and get into who your ideal audience is and what are their pain points? And
Yes.
there's going to be a variety, but then how do they search for solutions to those pain points? And you can have two clients that absolutely need your help or guidance, but they're going to search in different ways. And so you want to be able to repurpose that blog post or podcast or YouTube video in ways that attracts different people to the same place. So it could be taking a blog post, for instance, that could be 10 mistakes to avoid when transitioning into school season. I'm making that up as I go. So someone's going to look for that exact phrase, which is great. But then break it down into the different mistakes within that blog post as an example. And so it could be routine is out of order, organize your or how to organize the night before to have a better day tomorrow, or something along those lines. You're approaching it from different angles and how they're going to search. And those are the keywords that are going to attract them and put your content in front of different people through their feed. Now, then those keywords need to be in your profile and your boards and all of those places so that this also helps you rank better on Google, because they may not find you directly on Pinterest. They may search on Google first, and now your pin is going to pop up. Your Pinterest board is going to pop up. The blog will also pop up. So you're just creating a wider visibility net to catch more people just by thinking of the keywords and putting them in the right places on the right platforms.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. And one of the things that you identified is like marketing 101. You guys, if you do not know who your ideal client is, if you cannot picture her in front of you, then you're likely going to miss the mark here. So step one is really to know who your ideal audience is, what's keeping her up at night, what is she secretly Googling, and that is going to help you to get in her mind. So that way you're posting things that are going to be something that she is going to be searching for, right?
Mhm.
Doesn't matter what platform you're on. That's just marketing 101. So I love that you brought that up. And when it comes to the the repurposing of content. You mentioned several different things, like it could lead them back to a blog, or it could lead them to, even a YouTube video. Tell us a little bit about your approach to repurposing things, because I think that that's really going to get the attention of the people who are listening. Because again, I'm all about working smarter, not harder. I want people to have time freedom as an entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
and not feel like you're stuck in the freaking hamster wheel of the hustle for the sake of hustling. So tell us a little bit about your approach to repurposing stuff so that people can get the idea of how powerful this can be.
So my approach is I spend my time, energy, and effort into creating one big piece of content really well. So for me right now, that's my podcast episodes. I do batch record them, so I already save time that way. Um, I really thought I could talk for 30 minutes on my podcast, and ideally, and I even have, I use AI tools. Hey, I want this to be 30 minutes. But even without me rushing and taking my time, my episodes are like 10 minutes. They're super bite-sized pieces of information every week, no
Yeah.
matter how hard I try to like lengthen it out, which works for me. So
Yeah.
I batch record my episodes. I do 4 at a time in my little allotted hour, but then I go back and I break them down and I create the visuals first because that it's a visual platform. And I use my own images from branding shoots, or if I can spruce up a real life photo that maybe my husband caught, we're going to use that. Not often though, it's fine. And then if I have something, if I don't have a photo that really aligns with it, I will use screenshots of my own social media, my own Pinterest analytics, stock photos if I need to. So I start with the graphic itself first and great visuals, then a text overlay that's going to hook their attention because, they're scrolling first. But then I use keywords in my pin titles and descriptions. So I take that episode because it's usually broken down into like 3 or 4 main topics, and I reverse engineer that part of the process. And I think about how is someone going to be searching for it. So, and then I also, Pinterest, what I've noticed is it's more emotional in the sense of their searches. So how to create, this is what I would search for, and this is what we see a lot, is how to create a calm bedroom, or how to have a peaceful family vacation, those type of keywords. There's
Yeah.
a lot of how to discover, and so I include that in my pin title so that I make sure that it pops up. Um, then once that's all done, I just pin it. I diversify my links as well. So speaking of the podcast, it's on, it's on Apple, it's on Spotify, it's on wherever it is. So Pinterest today is less volume and more about strategic visibility. So I'm not trying to do 50 pins a day. I want, at most, I'll do 5 pins per day, but Pinterest is going to reward me for consistently showing up and providing fresh, value-driven content versus just like spamming it out there into the world.
Okay. So one of the things that you mentioned, it was something that we heard when you came in and spoke to our group, is that a lot of people just assume that Pinterest is all about recipe sharing, or, the top 5 ways to decorate for Halloween, or, decorating your room. And I have, my pins that I have saved are decorating my new lake house, or, the recipes that I have. And oftentimes people forget that we can use this for business. And so let's just have fun with this. Let's play. And so here we are. We have this podcast that you and I are recording right now that we both get to share out, right? And it's about how to grow our business using Pinterest, right? So how would you take this episode and break it up into a couple of different pin ideas, just to give people an example of how you can repurpose something into several different ways that people would use Pinterest for business?
I would, well, I want to start with, I use Pinterest to rebrand my whole business. So examples of how I did that was I looked at branding fonts and colors and pairings and really dove into color theory and what they mean and like the feelings and vibes that the colors evoke. And then once I had that all set out, I dove into blogs and freebies on how to, copywriting, storytelling, what's trending now, but is not going to, disappear next year. So I have to redo this whole brand again because we don't want to do that. And then, I looked at photo shoots of like how to stand and be comfortable because I am working on my self-confidence and being on camera is awful. It just is not a good time for me. So I was looking for different poses so that I could look natural and comfortable, even though I was not naturally comfortable. So all of those things, like if you are a person or if your business inspires, educates, solves a problem in any way, that content needs to be on Pinterest because someone is looking for it. Someone needs it. And so even like with this podcast, it would be I would take these pieces and like find relatable questions or scenarios. Have you ever looked at your Pinterest boards and thought, this doesn't even look like my business anymore? That is something that this podcast could help with. Then you bring them to this episode and you say, you're basically mentioning how your own brand can evolve, the Pinterest experience, you're mentioning those things. And then why another board could be, or pin could be, why Pinterest evolves with you or how it evolves with you. Then you're reassuring that evolving in business is normal and it's also healthy. Pinterest isn't static, it's strategy that can grow with your business as your business grows. That's another pin title that I think would hook someone's attention is create a strategy that grows with your business so you don't have to keep recreating the strategy. Day to day, that could be even one day to day or consistently showing up in your business, working smarter, not harder. I've looked for that one myself. And
Totally.
then I think even talking about strategy refreshes, step-by-step guides on how to audit your business, how to audit your social media profiles and make sure that they all align. And then representing your branding would be a good one too.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm thinking like even just like I'm brainstorming right now, like um repurposing content to work smarter, not harder, like the missing strategy to growing your business. Like there's all kinds of things that we can do. And I'm guessing that you are like me and that you consult things like AI to help you brainstorm topic ideas as well, just to kind of give us this working smarter, not harder thing as far as like, okay, I have this topic, please give me 5 different pin, Pinterest worthy hooks that are going to get the attention to my ideal client or whatever. And
I definitely use AI tools for that. And that's why like earlier I was mentioning from different viewpoints. So I do ask AI, hey, here's the main topic. Please identify how three different small business owners would or how would they search for a solution to this one pain point? And it'll like brain map or brain dump it out for me how 3 different people, maybe it's a startup business owner, or it's a mom with only 1 or 2 kids, or it's a mom like me with up to 5 kids. Like they're all overwhelmed, but but they don't have the same amount of time or ability to look. So I want to meet them and wherever it is that they are.
yeah, I love that so much. So there are some people who are listening to this, and you guys are, if you're, my ideal client, right? You're like, oh my gosh, Lachelle, I'm so done with the hustle for the sake of hustling. Like, I want peace and flow and joy and fun in my business, and I want to make massive impact and income, right? So how can I have both? And that's really what Spiral Up is all about. And so when I think of that, I teach my clients how to discern what strategies are for them. That just because every strategy is available to us, oftentimes I know that a mindset block that I have had and a lot of my clients have is that just because it's available, it means I need to do it. And one strategy is going to work, five should work better and faster. So then what do? I get on all five of them and I get overwhelmed and I don't see any progress because I'm doing all of them half-ass. And so I
Mm-hmm.
want you guys to, as you're listening to this, to be like, okay, how can I discern that Pinterest is for me? And so, Dina, what advice would you give to somebody who's considering like, because again, like I want to make sure that we stay out of the trap of just because I can doesn't mean I should. But there are some really key ways that we've already been talking about that are helping you hopefully consider this. But what would you say to somebody who's like, okay, this means that I might have to give up doing something else if I'm going to focus on this? So, what advice would you give somebody that is considering, like, is Pinterest where I should be focusing my time and energy right now?
I always say to start with, what do you actually enjoy doing?
Mhm.
Like, do you enjoy writing blogs? Then do that. Do you actually enjoy getting on camera and doing reels and recording YouTube videos? Do that first. Pinterest is not, to me, is not an or or like I can only do Pinterest or I can only do Instagram. It's But it should be the and, I guess, is the best way I can explain it. So you should be doing whatever it is that you love to do, that strategy, and you should be repurposing it on Pinterest and you should be repurposing it on somewhere else.
Yes.
Just because the content that you are putting all that energy into deserves to be found and doesn't deserve to be virtually dusty is what I've started calling it.
Yes.
But
Yes.
you put like using weddings as an example, because
Mhm.
it's who I work with the most. You spend as a wedding planner 18 months designing, loving your couples, however wonderful and or difficult they may be. You are coordinating 8, 10, 15 different vendors and their all of their individual timelines plus your master timeline. You have spent endless time and energy creating this event that happened on one day. And if you only put that on Instagram because you think that's where your ideal audience is, it's going to disappear in 24 hours. So
Mm.
you put all of that time, energy, and effort into this event for it to only show up once a month, and then you have to redo a whole nother type of carousel or reel for it to be seen again. That's almost a slap in the face. And that's not just wedding planners, that's coaches, that's health gurus, that is
Yes.
anyone. That's a slap in the face of all the hard work that you're doing. And it should be repurposed in a way that's going to bring traffic consistently and solve more problems. So I don't ever recommend just, throw all your eggs in Pinterest. I say, look at what you love doing and creating and do that, and then help
Yes.
other people find it. So it
Yes.
doesn't feel like Pinterest is one more thing. It's just one more step in your marketing funnel as opposed to a whole
Yes.
nother platform.
So much. And I want to just give you guys permission to be like, oh my gosh, this sounds so amazing because what if I don't have to be on Instagram? Like, this is the thing. There's so many business owners that I help that are like, they think that they have to do all the things. And if they don't, there's a fear-based scarcity motivation behind it that if I'm not on Instagram, I'm going to be missing on all these clients. And what I love to teach people to do is to discern what is their aligned strategy, because one God spirit inspired strategy is going to be more fruitful than 17 of my own. And so
Mm-hmm.
listening to this and you're like something inside of your spirit is like, oh, this feels so much better. I'm going to give you guys permission to say, I hate doing that. I'm going to not do that anymore. And I'm going to refocus on what I love, which is I love what you said that, Dana, because like if I love long copy and I love writing blogs and I can utilize Pinterest as an extension of that, and that's fun and exciting and delicious, I'm going to keep focusing on that stuff instead of all the crap that feels like the drag, because the drag is going to be what lowers our vibration. The drag is going to allows for us to essentially repel the best business that we have. We can stay in high vibes by following the clues of what lights us up, and to allow for something like what you're talking about to be an extension of our reach of that thing that we love, and
Mhm.
focus on the repurposing of it and to drawing people back to that is what, I don't know, it feels freeing, it feels fun, it feels aligned, and that's what I want you guys to understand, is that that kind of business is possible. And I just think that this is such a refreshing message for a lot of people. If one of the things, again, as you know, my messaging is like fun, free, freedom, joy, and not the drag of things, because that's how we can manifest metaphysically. um and so if I think about the overwhelm that can happen with 5 posts a day, and or 20 posts a day or whatever, it's like, is that necessary? If I'm just getting started and that overwhelms me, how often can I, if there's a good, better, best situation? I know I've asked this to you before when we were in our group coaching too, but like, if I can just commit to doing what, is that a good place to start? Like, where would I start with this?
I always recommend starting small so that you can stay consistent. You
Mhm.
don't need to pin 20 times a day. Focus on pinning a few high quality pins each week using the keywords that your dream client is already searching for. And then you can build momentum on top of that in just a few hours every month. So the best case study that I have, and it's actually on my website, I was just testing strategies for a current client to see if this idea was even worth trying
Yeah.
to do in the first place and like transition all of my services. So we only did one, maybe two pins per day, repurposing the galleries that they were receiving from the photographers and repurposing their Instagram content because he was putting a lot of time into his
Yeah.
carousels and reels because he was elevating his service. And so I wanted more people to find it. And within 3 to 4 months, there was a 216% increase in website traffic. That
Amazing.
means that's like 20 to 30 outbound clicks for him going to his website. And that's the part that you own, is your website. So you're pulling them from a borrowed space into your own space where they can then connect with you better through the blog, because he had blogs as well as galleries, and see more of the work. And all of those things are set up. So this is where I really dive into the flow of things with my clients. Is all right, once they land on your page, how can we naturally create another touch point for them, because they liked this pin enough to click to your website? So great, how can we leave them there, or how can we foster another touch point? And so if it's a blog post, I always recommend a pop-up like halfway through. If they've scrolled down halfway, they're invested in what you're saying. So do you have a lead magnet that relates to that blog post? Have that pop up. Oh, are you enjoying whatever XYZ topic this is? You would love XYZ lead magnet. And now they're on your email list where you can nurture them and give more know, like, trust factors just by them being on your blog. And then now they're in your email list, and you can now sell them. You give them the freebie, you've shown them your expertise, and through that nurture sequence, maybe you can sell them a low ticket, high value offer. Or maybe, depending on what it was, they're ready for your high ticket offer. Are you planning a retreat? You want to dive into this topic more? Check out my retreat that I'm planning in January 2026, or whatever it is. Now you have opened up a bunch of different avenues for them to connect with you more personally
Oh my
with
gosh.
one piece of content.
So good, you guys. Okay, so going on the theme of working smarter, not harder, you might be listening to this and you're like, ooh, this feels good. This feels fun. This feels creative to me. That is actually, if that feels good to you, that's actually going to be something that is going to add to your energy versus suck it away. I'm just going to say that. So
Mhm.
if you're listening to this, you're like, this sounds fun. I can't wait to get started. Just allowing that acknowledgement to be like, that's the clue, that's the breadcrumb that keep leaning into that. If you're like, oh my gosh, like logically, I can see the potential of this, but it's maybe not my sweet spot, but I can see that. This is where I bring in what resources do you have, right? So like I have a team of people that work with me in my company that I could easily delegate if this wasn't something that was, within my wheelhouse. And we also have you and your services, right? So you're dedicated to knowing what is the latest and greatest in Pinterest. So even if I delegate to somebody on my team, like they're not going to necessarily be invested in knowing the idiosyncrasies of the platform like some. So I want you guys to recognize this, that there are levels of delegation. You can delegate to a generalist where they just fulfill a delegated task. And you can delegate to a strategist, like somebody like Dana, who is going to take it to that next level. And so asking yourself, what am I looking for in the outcome? What am I willing to invest in this service? Knowing that we typically will pay more for somebody that's a strategist and expert into a specific niche of a service like yourself with Pinterest versus maybe paying a little less for somebody that is going to be executing a task. So I just want you to be thinking about this. Like the buts that are in your way of like, I hear this, but I don't know what to do, but I can't afford it, but whatever. Like stop getting our butts in the way, right? And start to think, what is my end goal and how can I make this happen? And so I don't know, I'm such a nerd and I just love getting rid of butts. But when I
Well, I have already thought about all the butts
yes,
and
right?
like,
Yes, yes,
and that's the services that I offer. Like, I have those low ticket where you just get the graphics, and maybe you do have a virtual assistant that they can just go take care of that for you. And now you can try it out without the fear of I've just spent all this money on something and I don't know if it's going to work. It solves that problem. If you don't have a virtual assistant and you want someone else to just quickly throw the branding on, we have the upgraded version. If you just want to know how to turn your content into evergreen funnels on Pinterest, we can do an audit and content strategy session and we'll look at what you already have. I won't even tell you to make new content. I will just say, what do you have? And we will map out the next 90 days of how you can pin content on your last 3 blog posts, your top performing Instagram content, wherever it is that you want to go. And we'll map that out and you'll get it nicely wrapped in a bow. If you really are ready to do full service, I can meet you there and we'll do 5 to 10 pins per day and really get strategic on not only content you have before, but what can we create in the future that's going to be evergreen and solve problems today, tomorrow, next week, 6 months from now, so that it continues to work for you.
yes. So if anything, you guys, I hope that you've been inspired. I hope that you have this rekindled excitement of what's possible with your business, that there is a way to bring leads into your passion and allow people to get to know who you are and how you serve them. And hopefully we got rid of some of the butts that are in the way. So if you guys want to check out all of the ways that you can connect with Dana in the show notes, and if you're like, oh my gosh, like if Dana is included in everything that you do, Lachelle, as a whole, knowing that the umbrella is wide and that people like Dana and the other experts are here to find a bespoke, very customized approach to growing your business. That's what we do. So I just want you to know that there's hope, you guys, and that I want you to have the massive impact and income that you want. I want you to have a life that you get to spend with your kids and travel the world and actually enjoy the fruits of your labor. And so just know that there are ways to do that. And Dana, I'm so grateful that you're part of my circle. I'm so grateful that my clients get to know you and that we get to have the exposure to you and all of your services to the listeners of the Spiral Up podcast. So yeah. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to mention before we say goodbye?
I think the last thing I really want to focus on is that success on Pinterest looks different but it is sustainable and it's meant to be different. It's not about going viral. It's about building brand visibility and a steady stream of traffic to your website, contact page, or offers. It's that long game working silently in the background, but it is 100% one that will pay off in the long run. So if you're done hustling for visibility and you're craving sustainable marketing and a platform where content will work harder and longer and smarter for you, Pinterest is absolutely worth exploring. And I hope that you do.
I love that so much. Oh my gosh. You guys, I hope that you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Make sure that you leave a review. Message us back inside stories. Like, tell us what your thoughts were, what your takeaways were. Say hi. This is a fun community that we've built here, and we want to hear from you too. So, Dana, thank you so much for being here. And I'm so grateful for our conversation today. Bye, everybody. So much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Each honest review helps me spiral up so that I can serve you even better. Whether you're feeling a lack of impact, income, or time freedom, or perhaps you're just ready for massive momentum in your business, let's chat. Apply for a breakthrough call so that you can gain clarity, identify what's holding you back, and make a plan to spiral up. Head on over to im-lifebydesign.com/breakthrough or access the link in the show notes. For immediate support, log into our community, the Better Club. We focus on inspiration, tactical guidance, and support. This is a community that wants to be better, do better, and have better in life and in business, and we're going to help you do the same. Let's spiral up, friends.